The Patrician Atheist here. Hello, Jesus Freak. I see you've compared your God to a superhero who makes a heroic sacrifice, which I find funny as you have simply compared one type of myth to another, and have naturally used a bastardized version of logic in the process. I'd love to show you how absurd that claim is, but first allow me to summarize your ridiculous position concerning your delusional God. Your initial breach of proper reasoning can be summarized with the Gene Roddenberry quote: "We must question the story logic of having an all-knowing, all-powerful God who creates faulty humans and then blames them for his own mistakes." Quite simply, your quote-unquote perfect God creates imperfect, flawed humans and then proceeds to violently punish them for being his imperfect creation with ridiculous anti-human standards. What a sadistic bastard this guy is, because by your bullshit logic, it seems more like he created us just to screw with us. And after making us so fucked up, he turns himself into a human in order to parade around in a self-righteous orgy of self-indulgence in the faulty world he has made, and then allows himself to be killed because his primary defective creation, man, does not meet his ludicrous, anti-human expectations after he was a sorry bastard who made us in the first place. Makes perfect sense. But wait, there's more. This thug of a deity of yours is his own father and impregnated his mother as some ghost, who is also him, thanks to the absurdity of the Holy Trinity, so he basically kills himself to save us from, that's right, himself. That is what your faith-based argument with its appeals to motion in the form of God saved us really amounts to. Are you seriously so screwed up that you will then compare this vile fictional character of yours to a superhero capable of any meaningful sacrifice worthy of being called heroic? Of course you are. A superhero is a protagonist who has some extraordinary, superhuman power or powers. Your God is certainly not a protagonist, and one of his most conspicuous superpowers is not dying. He cannot die. As a result, his gesture of coming to save us from himself and his unreasonable standards and judgment of us is completely empty. Why? Because he didn't die. And your religion asserts that no one actually dies because there is some contradictory life after life. In fact, death was such a non-issue for your God that your mythology claims he came back from playing dead and pretending to be punished, because God can't die, a finite 3 days later, which weakens any claim of a heroic sacrifice even more. And this is true not only by the fact that his staged death means nothing because he cannot die, but because the standards he supposedly judges us by are as ridiculous as the assertion that a perfect God would create such imperfect beings as us in the first place. So far from being a hero, your God is more like a pandering actor. Why? Because he just goes through the motions for the theater of it, like a kid playing with stickmen he has made. He's probably the most selfish and hateful character the minds of men have ever created. Lucky for us, there is no evidence for him, and he is a huge contradiction, not least of which because he cannot be both all-knowing and all-powerful, as Roddenberry and many theists describe him to be. So if you believe God is all-knowing, he knows what will happen at all times and only knows what fate has in store, which is rather different than being able to dictate what is preordained. Frankly, saying God is all-knowing makes him a mere agent of destiny and rather powerless to step in unless his actions are already preordained. As a result, he cannot be all-powerful, as he is merely a tool of what is to be, in the event he is all-knowing. And this makes his supposedly heroic sacrifices for humanity that much more empty and scripted in such an event. And if God is not all-knowing but is all-powerful, meaning he is supremely and unlimitedly powerful, the most powerful force in existence, then he does not have any weaknesses and is thus incapable of making any form of authentic sacrifice. So you can dress your magical supreme mover of the universe in human frailty, but expecting the termination of the human exterior to amount to genuine sacrifice is dishonest at best. Your argument is screwed in any event, whether you claim your God is all-knowing, all-powerful, or the contradictory choice of both. And not content enough to just be intellectually dishonest, Jesus Freak, you continuously harp on the trite sentiment that you and the rest of humanity are not worthy of such a contradictory, false, depraved, and lowly being, which simply adds further insult to the already considerable injury you have done to rational thought. And I have to insist that you don't speak for me and others when claiming we are supposedly not worthy of your fictional and psychologically deranged sky daddy. And spare us the always unmoving scripture next time, as it does not help your already perilously weak case. In the end, your claim that God is a superhero who makes a heroic sacrifice or is anything close to a true hero is a laughable one that you completely fail to substantiate. And it is no wonder you are one of Venom Fang X's most infamous boosters. You both have no handle on rational thought when it comes to applying such thought to scrutinizing your unreasonable superstitious beliefs. And far from your video proving that any thought has been provoked, You show your audience yet again that no stretch of logic is beyond the shameless grasp of any theist to use in defense of their contrary to logic beliefs. You seem like a nice guy, Jesus Freak, but your arguments are propped up by nothing more than appeals to emotion and blind faith, because they sure as hell aren't things a self-respecting rationalist would ever claim. I'm the Patrician Atheist. See you around.